All right, welcome back, everyone. Check. All right, we're good. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the stream. Nvidia saves the market. A really nice move unfolding right now on the NASDAQ futures. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous setup in the pre-market today. 25,027, the exact level we talked about yesterday. Looking great right here. Right there. Bam. Bam. That is the level today. It's QQQ right off the daily 50. What was that? Yeah, looking interesting today. What's up, guys? How we doing? Happy Thursday. Some interesting dip buys out there for sure. We'll talk about them. Some things I got my eyes on. Some things I already started buying. I bought 2 things yesterday. And I'm looking to maybe, we'll see. Looking to maybe buy more. We shall see. Okay. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump in because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So, first things first. Today, we do have some economic data before market open. So, that is something we will have to be cautious of. Let me go ahead and pull that up. We do have some economic data before the market opened today. So that is right here on Thursday. You can see 8:30, average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate. So those are some big events. Those are some things to pay attention to. I got to take that thing off the bottom. That 3-day event, that's gone. It's over. Hold on. Let me extend this. Do I want to extend that? Maybe this way. There we go. So that Thursday event, that Thursday news today, that is important this morning. So we will have to pay attention to that. Tomorrow, flash manufacturing PMI, services PMI. So we'll just we'll see what the market does here at 8:30 to see if that changes, to see if anything changes. What's on the whiteboard? Oh, yeah, that was from our call yesterday. Yeah, the whiteboard is loaded with that's my scientific scribble. So we'll have to be aware of that. Okay, that's first. Yesterday we did have Nvidia earnings. Let me go ahead and drag this down. We had Nvidia earnings yesterday, which was, I guess you could say, sort of. It seems like for now, sort of, reinstating the importance of Nvidia and semiconductors and AI, so to say. So I'm interested to see if that wakes back up that trade. All right, that's sort of what I'm going to be watching today. Does it wake back up the AI trade, the semiconductor trade, the rare earth minerals, materials, rare earth MP specifically, the trade that I bought some more shares of yesterday. So that's what I'm really interested in today. Does it wake it back up? And we can base that off our levels. And so let's go ahead and talk about that on the NASDAQ futures. We really don't have to guess. We just got to watch the levels. And so right now, you have your first meaningful move on the market. And that is right here. You can't, it's really not meant for you to read it. It's really not meant for this live stream. So let me just do this so everyone's going to see. Gone. Okay. So you guys can see right here, right? We have left shoulder, or I'm sorry, low Thursday of last week, right? 24,975, 25,027. Right there. Bam. See that? Then we have this low here. Bam. Then we have this low here, and that turns into a rejection point on Monday of this week. Now, you can see that this was a rejection point yesterday, the perfect rejection point yesterday, the exact fade level. These lows into highs, exact fade level yesterday in the intraday, right? Look at what's happening this morning. You are turning that exact level, right? All right here. If I go to the 15-minute chart, you are turning this exact level right here, right here, right here, and right here into exact lows. And I mean exact lows. So if that holds today, that is absolutely a flip in market structure, right? That is your first real flip here of the week. So you had Monday down, Tuesday under it, Wednesday rejections, and today you have the potential of turning that back into support. If that sticks, I would be very interested if this market heats back up again. This would be where it starts, all right? This would be the day. If this market returns higher, and if this market wants to bounce off its 100 daily moving average, which is not something rare, all right? If we are going to see the NASDAQ on this daily chart move back higher after visiting its daily 100, if that was the low, right there, it will start because of a shift in structure, and it will start because of this low right here. That doesn't mean that's going to happen, okay? That's not what that means. That doesn't mean we are for sure going higher, okay? But what that means is if we are going higher, this is what you'd want to see, and that's what you would need to see hold. So the fact that it's doing that perfectly this morning definitely heightens the interest, right? It definitely gets you thinking, is it time to think about some dip buying? Is it time to maybe look to dollar cost average into maybe some stocks that have fallen 20, 30, 40%? Some stocks that would benefit from this market moving back higher and that AI trade coming back alive. And I'll sort of talk about some of the stocks that I'm watching for that. And we already talked about those yesterday. And our conversation yesterday about, I don't know if you guys, I would assume most of you remember our conversation yesterday. Our conversation yesterday was that timeline. It was market top, right? Sort of the top of the market. Then it was, the next timeline was, shorting the market, moving lower, right? Shorting the market, being part of that downside move. And then eventually that turns into, backing off the short. So remember we talked about the BS. You sort of have to back off the short because you've fallen down into that daily 100. And then the next question is here, is it time to now look to be long, right? That's the next question. So we shorted the market successfully. We backed off the short yesterday. That was our thesis if you came to this live stream, and it was absolutely perfect. And then today, right, is it time to long? This is the question mark that, this is the hard part. Is it time to now long this market? Have we found the short-term low? That's the question that, we'll have to try to answer to our best of our ability, and that's going to be the most lucrative question to answer. If you look here on the NASDAQ futures, this is also a hold over this 4-hour high right here. See that 4-hour high? This 4-hour high right here, these 4-hour highs right here, this 4-hour low right here, this right here. That is your exact hold level this morning. If that holds, I would assume this market trades up to this 25.4 to 25.5. That would be your target today, right here. 25.4 to 25.5 would be my target to the upside if this holds. Now, this is where it gets nasty, right? If this rejects and this fails back under, this is all going to be trapped buying right here. So it's not set in stone. It is not for sure, but it is starting to show you something, and I would pay attention to it. So that is what I will be watching today. Do we get a hold of this zone? If we do, I'm interested. If we do not, I would even look to short this, right? So staying open to both sides for sure. Under 24,975, under yesterday's highs on the NASDAQ futures, definitely could instill a little bit of weakness, right? Under this rejection point here. If we pull back to this level and see very strong buying step up, that would give me confidence that we are trying to hold that major level, okay? So that is definitely a watch today on the NASDAQ futures. If we go to the QQQ, that is exactly our 606 level. That got smoked yesterday. Absolutely perfect. This was our 606 level and that Thursday low that we've been watching. Thursday low, major high, major high. Yesterday, we moved right into it. We smoked right off of it. Bam. Dead. Right? Nvidia earnings comes out, pops it right back higher. Now, this is your level, right? Can we reclaim the daily 50 today successfully? Can we hold above the 606 level? If that does happen, right? If that does happen, then I would look for the markets to stay strong. And the key level for me today would be that 613 area. 613, right here. So right here is your big test today. And this is what sort of is concerning, right? Is because you are very close to this 613 level. So that's going to be big, right? 613 is this high, this high, this high, and this low, right? Look at 613. Previous major rejection right here from last week. And look at where we're trading right back into. So this is a good hold at the 606. This is a good reclaim at the daily 50, but I think we still need to be slightly cautious right into that 613 and that rejection point from Monday and rejection point from last Friday. So that's going to be a little tricky. I would prefer for the, of course, in any long situation, if I'm looking long, I would be preferring to long off a pullback demand, not longing into this supply above. If we get over 613, we go daily 20, 618. Let's go ES. So the ES has a big spot here above, right? So here's your discrepancy of the day. This is where things start to get a little bit blurry for me, okay? So that NASDAQ futures, right? It's holding perfect over this 4-hour high, right? See that 4-hour high? This is back from September 22nd, September 23rd. Right there, 4-hour high. Look at the hold that's coming in this morning. Perfect. Now, if we go to the S&P 500, you are under that 4-hour high still, right there. That is September 22nd, September 23rd, same high, 67.56, and that is the exact level that you are not getting above this morning. So that is a little bit interesting, right? That is the exact level that is failing this morning. That is that exact Thursday low that is failing this morning. So what would I want to see? I'd probably want to see that ES get over that level as well. That's the daily 50. That's the Thursday lows. That's that 4-hour high from September 22nd. That is a discrepancy on the NASDAQ versus the ES today, right? NASDAQ's above it, ES is below it. Why? Likely because Nvidia and tech is stronger because of Nvidia earnings, which is just, giving that NASDAQ a little extra boost, right? NASDAQ is up 1.8%, ES is up 1.2%. So you got a little extra boost on that NQ. We'll have to see, which one leads the charge today. That's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. That's not something we can predict. That's going to be something we're just going to have to watch. Pullback area on the S&P 500 today, I think you'd really want to see the previous Tuesday and Wednesday highs turn into support. And quite honestly, I think this is actually the best potential long opportunity of the day. So if you do pull back and reject that daily 50 today, which is very possible, and that 67.50, 67.56 supply, I actually think pulling back into this zone here would be the interesting re-entry long. That would be a pullback long back at these highs from yesterday and Tuesday's highs right there. That's 66.87 to 67.08, 67.09. If you can establish a strong hold above yesterday's highs and above Tuesday's highs, that gets a little bit more interesting for one of these curlers back to the upside. That also gives back some of the frothy, straight up move from Nvidia earnings. So here's your close, right? That would be like a 50% retracement of the overnight gap up. So that's sort of interesting, right? Something to consider today is that you are on a gap up. So you have gapped up. The close from yesterday is at 1600, which is right here, right? Here's your close. Here's your open potentially. So there's your gap. So that's a pretty decent gap. You'd probably want to see us maybe give back some of that gap, pull back into some of this demand. That's likely a scenario to be cautious of off the open. So off the open today, right, the morning thesis is I'm probably not going to just mindlessly long into this ES supply and long into the daily 50 on ES. If we do see a pullback off the open, I don't think I would short that personally. I don't think that a short off the open off the supply would be the right call because that downside to me would only be a pullback and a gap fill long opportunity at this point. If you failed back under Tuesday's highs or even under Wednesday's highs, if you saw us actually fail back under these levels, then I would potentially look to take that short, right? If we failed back under a level, I would look to short that once again. I don't think I would now short if we are above the previous day high and above the Tuesday high. To me, at this point, that would be a pullback potential long. At least that's in my mind for now. Obviously, price action intraday will have to tell the story, but that's sort of what I'm looking at. SPY, right? Same thing. I don't know if you guys remember this. I hope you do, but our level yesterday was 667.34. So let me go ahead and show you. This is probably I don't know. There's not many times you get it on the dot. But yesterday we got it on the dot. So yesterday, if you have our key levels, or if maybe you just show up to the live streams, here was our analysis yesterday. This was our key level, right? One of our key levels yesterday was right here, 667.34. That was that 4-hour high we talked about, right there. 4-hour high, 667.34. That stemmed from, if I zoom out, that stemmed from right here. All right, this 4-hour high at 667.34. That was right there. That was on the cent, the exact high yesterday before we failed the rest of the afternoon. The exact high was 667.34 right here. Perfect. So that is now a very clear level to look for if we pull back, right? If we pull back today and we see holds at the 667.34, which is yesterday high day, or the Tuesday high day, between that and 665, to me, this is your new demand zone, right? That is your new must-hold area. If you pull back to that spot, I would look to see if that turns into a new low. That would be very interesting to me. That would be now a flip back over these highs, and that could start something, right? But I would probably want to wait to see that get tested today before I took any aggressive longs. Because as of right now, I need you to remember one thing. What is the most important level that we talked about on the SPY? The most important level that we talked about on this SPY is 674. 674, 674, and look at where we're still below, 674. That is this daily high right here. Looking at this daily chart on the SPY ETF, that's this high right here, 674, 674. You are still trading below that. So it's starting to show you higher lows, right? It's starting to show you the potential of higher lows, but it has not gotten above that level yet. So it's like we're like right on the it's the decision day. It sort of is. It's sort of that decision day for the market. Is the market going to say, yep, higher lows, let's get this thing back going? Or is the market going to say, bull trap, once again, fail back under these highs and right back down to the lows? That's a big question today. And I would probably want to see this out a little bit before just sort of getting all hyped up in the morning and smashing longs off the open. It just, that's something I'd like to see get tested. Can we test that ES demand below, and can it prove to me that buyers are here? Can we test that SPY previous high area here, and can the buyers prove to me that they're sitting waiting for that today? All right, that's really what I'd like to get before, jamming some longs in. So that's going to be my watch. It's a pretty clear story today. We just need to see what happens. SMH, moving on. SMH, nice pop overnight out of this demand. Why? Because of Nvidia earnings, obviously. We're right into the 350 supply, which is going to be the level to break. 350 supply SMH, that's the level to break. I'm going to put an alert there and see if we get above that today. 350 SMH, big level. IWM. So we talked about that IWM 231 level. We saw a nice bounce off that level here. 231, you can see decent bounce so far. However, there is a level that we're rejecting here on the IWM, which we had at 236.27. We rejected it right here. 236.27, 236.27, and look at that rejection coming in right now. That is right here from yesterday. 236.27. This was our analysis yesterday, 236.27. That was this previous low right here, 236.27. So today, or yesterday, you can see in the overnight session, we pushed into that, and we are still rejecting that. So that is a very important level for me on the IWM. Can we get above that level? That will be something I very closely watch today. Bitcoin, a little bit of a bounce off the major spot, the must-hold spot, really. If we zoom out on the daily chart on Bitcoin, you can see we are retesting a huge spot. Previous major daily highs, nice consolidation that led to an upside move here, and look at where we're at once again. Can Bitcoin hold this spot? You need to see markets get back on a risk-on environment. If the markets can start to feel more risk on, if semis can find their strength, if the NASDAQ can start pushing higher, I'd say that this is going to turn out to be a pretty nice Bitcoin dip buy. If we see today being a dead cat bounce and things still feel shaky to end the week, then I'd hold off on this, right? So a lot of question marks to be answered here. This feels right now to me like a very major day, very much an inflection point type of day. Does Nvidia earnings drive us back to the highs? Do we start to see higher lows? Or is this a dead cat? Does Nvidia give back its move? And does everyone sort of get bamboozled today that thought that this market was going to start going higher? That's a huge question today. And we can see that the ES is still failing that exact supply level. So that is a huge spot today. Okay, let's jump into some stocks. Number one, Tesla. I have a 2-contract short position on Tesla that it looks like I'm probably going to be wrong on today. Looking for this higher or lower high failure. Looked really good to close the day, obviously, but obviously because of Nvidia earnings, it might not be good. So I'm watching to see if these previous lows turn into rejections here. That is such a good look, but of course, Nvidia earnings might sort of just take it out. So we'll see. I am interested still in this, very interested in what Tesla does here. I believe Tesla will make a big move soon. Why do I say that? Well, it's dropped below a major low. It's retested at major low. For now, it's rejecting it. But if it does turn it back into a support level, I think equally as interesting back to the upside, right? So I will definitely be watching intraday today for some action to both directions. Either another failure here that could maybe look like another daily chart rejection, right? That's, something I'd be watching. Do we get another daily chart sort of wick rejection here? Or does the daily chart, show me a strong, move back higher, wicking back over these lows? That is very, very interesting today. You can see we're basically sitting right at that spot. This is going to be a very, major spot today for Tesla. What happens at the 414.50? If you guys remember, that's our major 2021 high. So this is huge today. So definitely watching that, right? Definitely watching that. Short Tesla with 2 contracts. I'll survive. Trust me. So let's move on. Nvidia. So right here, Nvidia, big upside move on earnings, right? Big gap up. However, I still see this level here that I want to be careful of. Right there, right there, right there. So right here, lows, highs, and highs. Interesting spot. Interesting spot. Can we get a failure there, or do we reclaim this level at 201.41, right? That is going to be something I very closely watch today. It still seems like Nvidia has some work to do for me, right? And I also am very careful of this gap up. I am. The market has faded gaps. And so, where's the most pain today? The most pain today is people that, maybe chase the open on Nvidia and this thing fills the gap. That is the most pain today. So I need to be aware of that. I can't be blinded by, the possibility of that just going straight up. I need to be aware that there's previous lows, major rejections here, and you are not above that level. You are not. So there's definitely still a selling, there's definitely still some supply up here. So please be aware of that today before you just go out and, smash longs. Nvidia did not beat the expected move. Yes, correct margin. So, longs will be probably, IV crushed this morning. The expected move was $12, so it had to go to $198. That was where it needed to go for calls to go up. So that's, it got just about there. It's might open below it, so they might not be too bad, but it's pretty damn close to the expected move. But it's definitely not past the expected move to where you'd have a big increase in call premium. So watch out for that 201 area on Nvidia, and also just be conscious that the SMH is rejecting 350, right? This is not where you want to be wrong today, okay? I know it sounds sort of cautionary, and I know it's not really like, oh, let's go all in SMH longs today. I get it. right? I'd like to be feeling that way, but you need to break this level, right? This is the same rejection point here. This is the same rejection point here. And as of this morning, you can see that that is not breaking. You're starting to reject that level today. So if this fails and fills the gap, right, on the SMH, that's likely NVIDIA failing that level and filling the gap as well, which could turn into a nice long, right, after a gap fill. But today, in specific, you need to be careful of just chasing that long after earnings upside, okay? Doesn't mean it can't continue. Does not mean that. But I will be right? I think you want to be watching what that does. Now, for semiconductors, my top watch is now Broadcom. This looks very strong. Broadcom almost is up. I think Broadcom is actually up more than NVIDIA on its own earnings. So NVIDIA is up. What is NVIDIA up from 186? NVIDIA is up right now around 5%. What is Broadcom up this morning? Broadcom from yesterday's close at 354 is up. Not as doesn't look like it's quite as much, but it's up. Same percent. So Broadcom actually to me looks like a stronger name than NVIDIA does on its own earnings. Broadcom just reclaimed this huge failure point at 360 and the daily 20 SMA. Look at this. This is the most interesting semi for me today. Broadcom. Rejections. All these failures right here. Look at this hold right here. That is yesterday's high as well. So, that's a big watch for me, right? Take a look at this 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart on Broadcom. Major pivot. Major rejections, and look what we have done, pivoted right back over that level. So I am interested in Broadcom today. I would prefer to get along back at this level, so I would, try to be patient, but I don't know if you're going to get an $8 pullback to this level. We'll see. If you do, that's very interesting. Next level to the upside, 374, right here, 374. So Broadcom, big watch for me. This one has been sort of a sleeping giant lately, I feel like. It's been sort of like just sort of sideways, and we all know Broadcom's a beast of a stock. There's no doubt about that. It's been consolidating, accumulating for almost 2 to 3 months now, right? That daily 100 SMA has caught up. This is what you would call time correction, right? Because you were well extended over the daily 100 SMA all right here. But look, the 100's now pretty damn close to where we bounced off of. Sort of time correction on this market. So Broadcom, big watch, definitely interesting. We'll see if it can continue. That's something I'm definitely watching. We got data. Holy crap. Okay. Okay. Big data move. Yeah, it might be the day, huh? Shit. Wait for me. Yesterday, I bought two things. I bought MP and I bought Oklo. Those were the two stocks I bought yesterday. I probably should buy more. We'll see. But, okay. Huge move on data. Pretty oh, my God. This looks so good now. Yeah, we'll see, man. Look at that. That looks really good. That 25,027 is looking mighty fine right now. That QQQ daily 50 looks mighty fine. SPY is going to push right into the 674 level today. So let's see. 674 SPY. Let's see, though. We're right into it. Right into 674 SPY. Big spot. ES, can it hold this daily 50 today? All right. All right. Broadcom, AMD. Yeah, let's look at AMD real quick. AMD, sort of interesting. Not really as strong as I would want, to be honest. So I'm not sure this is a semiconductor I'll be looking for today. You're still under these triple top highs on AMD. I would like to see that clear out. Right there. 240, 243. That's the area I'd like to see clear out on AMD. Okay? Cozy Coconut, appreciate that, brother. All right, now let's move on to some stocks that I really like today. Okay, number one is Palantir. I really like this watch on Palantir today. This is my number one watch of the day, for sure. So why is Palantir my top watch? Well, number one, you've pulled back quite nicely on Palantir from the highs, obviously from this crazy earnings high, but let's just take it from like 210. You've pulled back around 23% on Palantir. You've pulled back 23% into this structure here, right? These lows, these highs, you held these lows right there. Look at the double bottom low that's established off that 160. Quite nice. Now today, you are holding, at least trying to hold, back above these lows, these 4-hour major lows here and this 4-hour major low here. And on top of that, that is the daily 100 SMA right there. If Palantir can go from holding here to making a higher low above these lows and holding the daily 100, I think there is a lot of interest in whether Palantir can continue off this level. So this is one of my top watches today. Palantir reclaiming these daily lows right here. Daily low, and daily low. And that is exactly right where that daily 100 and that 170 spot is. If we can see a strong daily candle holding these lows again, I think this gets very interesting for this move back to this channel high towards that 187. So I am definitely keeping an eye on that. Obviously, I'll have to see what the market does today, but that is a big watch for me. The second big watch for me is Oklo. I bought more shares of Oklo yesterday. I bought 50 shares of Oklo at $101, 101, so pretty much an even 5K. Just sort of starting to dollar cost back into this name. Why did I do that? Charts. I mean, that's really it, the chart. So you got a 50% pullback from the highs, which was much needed, and you pulled back to this exact structure point right here. On the daily chart, we can see daily highs, daily lows. You pulled right back to it. You pulled right back to the daily 100 SMA. If we go out to the weekly chart, right, and we sort of give this a blank chart, let's just create a blank chart here on Oklo without any levels. You can see Oklo pulled back to this weekly high area right here, right? Didn't quite touch it, but pretty damn close to these weekly highs right here on a 50% pullback. So this is the type of area that I'd like to start establishing a position, all right? I'm not going to start dollar cost averaging into here. I'm going to start dollar cost averaging on a 50% pullback into weekly highs, all right? So that's what I did yesterday. Bought 50 shares of Oklo. Looking good for now. Up $10 since the purchase. We'll see, if this thing can continue. The spot that I'm watching today is these daily lows right here. If Oklo can reclaim these daily lows between 108.54 and 110, if we can turn right here, this little bundle of daily lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, quadruple lows on the daily, if we can turn that level into support today, that would give me more confidence to maybe even look to trade it on the options again. But right now, you can see, look at what's rejecting. It's right there, right? That's big. So does Oklo maybe need another pullback? Can it get above this level and hold it? That's sort of what I'm watching for today. Next one I'm watching closely is MP. Bought more shares of MP yesterday. You guys know we've been talking about MP for a few weeks now. If we go out to the weekly chart, and I just want to remind you of what this weekly chart looks like, all right, take a look at the weekly. You pulled back into these weekly highs here, back into these weekly highs here. You turn this whole area, really, between both of these weekly highs, you turn this weekly high area right here into a pretty damn nice support level, right? Look at this right here. That's a pretty interesting weekly chart for me. That's these highs and these highs. That is a nice little area that we're trying to hold. This is, right, again, this is rare earth. This is a rare earth stock, likely the leader in it. Got some government contract news yesterday. I don't know if it was a government contract, but got news yesterday with the U.S. government. And also, let me see if I can find that news. U.S. Department of War partner, U.S. MP Materials and the U.S. Department of War partner with Saudi Arabian. They partnered with the Saudi Arabian mining company to develop rare earth refinery joint venture. Interesting. I mean, I don't know exactly what that means, but some catalyst there, right? And catalyst with weekly major levels, always going to interest me a little bit. Bought some more shares there. Yeah. definitely watching it. Key level for me here is 66. 66 is the level to break. Where's that 66 low that I had? I think it was like right around. Hold on. There's a 66 low that is huge, and it rejected it yesterday perfectly. Where is that 66 low? Is it this low? No, that's 60. Oh, it's this low right here, isn't it? 65, 50. Yeah, 65, 50, 66 spot right here. If we go to the 1 hour chart, we can see that that 66 spot rejected really nicely here a few weeks back, which is where it actually went against me, the original trade, off 66. And then yesterday, you can see it rejected 66 pretty much on the dot. So today, I will be watching to see if we can reclaim 66. That's another one that I'm keeping eyes on. MP 66, can it get above it? Can we see some juice above that? Going to be watching that today on MP. Let me put my alert back on that. The final one that I'm sort of watching closely is Hood. So I'm keeping eyes on some of these, at one point, absolute juicers that have pulled back, 20, 30, 40, 50%. Those are interesting to me. Hood down 30% after, being one of the strongest movers on the stock market. So does that come back, right? That's sort of what's on my mind. So you can see here on Hood, we had these highs here. We had this 117 to 120 area right in here, okay? We had these 117 highs here. We have these 120 lows here, 120 lows here, 120 lows here. So we had triple bottom lows around that 120.70 here, here, and here. And that's also the daily 100 SMA. If you look at today's price action, you can see that that zone is exactly where we're now trying to hold above. If we turn that 117 to 120 area into support today, that would be very interesting to see if this can move back higher. That would be a reclaim of some major previous lows. So that would be reclaiming these highs. That would be reclaiming these lows, and these lows. That would also be reclaiming the daily 100 SMA. So I am keeping an eye on Hood, Palantir, Oklo, and MP. These are sort of some smaller names. I know you guys are going to, it's not large cap tech, okay? I'm sort of looking elsewhere than large cap tech here. I think there's opportunity in these after these deep pullbacks. So that's where my eyes are going to be if this market does find that juice once again. ES is failing. Oh, man, it's right at it. Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah, that leaves the door open. That absolutely leaves the door wide open right here. This leaves the door so open, man. That makes you, sort of clench a little bit to start the day. Just a little bit. It's right at it. Yeah, and the Q's just rejected the 613. Okay. Yep. That makes you clench a little bit. Cost basis on MP is 60, and the buy yesterday on Oklo was at 100. But Oklo has been sort of like a rolling position that I've had. Oklo originally bought it at 77, sold it at 170 for $100 in profit, $100 in underlying stock profit. It was actually like a $25,000 win on the shares. So bought at 70, sold 3/4 at 170, and then went back down to, what did I go down to? I think I went down to 100 shares. Have been sitting in, that drawdown here with the 100 shares after locking up the profit of 3/4. And now I'm dipping back into it here to lower my average. And then, now my average will maybe be, cut it in half, maybe 130s. And I'll continue to look to see if that is a, dip buying opportunity. So first trade on Oklo was great. If you guys come to the live stream, you knew that we were saying sell Oklo. I was very open about me selling Oklo up here. Basically talked about it every day, saying I sold more Oklo, I sold more Oklo, I sold more Oklo. We were talking about how it doesn't make any money. There's no, revenues, et cetera, et cetera. But I can't really hate on this opportunity on the downside move, right? Google, unbelievable yesterday. This was my top watch out of the gates yesterday, and it absolutely went out of the gates, and I just did not find a single entry. So that sucks. I mean, this thing was just absolutely insanity yesterday. 1 minute chart, not a single red candle for the first 8 minutes. On the 5-minute chart, not a single red candle for the first 50 minutes. Your first, 25 minutes. Your first red candle was 25 minutes in, which is actually insane. So, yeah, that one just never gave me the opportunity, unfortunately. What a move, though. Google's on another level right now. Google is by far the strongest stock in the stock market right now. It's so funny how that flipped. I remember like a year ago, no one wanted to buy Google. I remember it. It was like right in here. It was the weakest stock in the stock market for a very long time, all through this period. It was back in April, back in March, April of this year. Actually, February, March. And this thing has become an absolute just beast. That's the word. It's a beast. And already this morning, which is just incredible, you're already holding this level and ripping again. So, yeah, this might be gone again. 295, 296.87, these highs right here. This is where I wanted to long it today, and bam. So that's sort of gone. I would love to see us pull back to here, right into this 295 area. Not sure you're going to get it. Now you're just going to have to watch yesterday's highs. So this one is tough because you really don't want to just chase it, but it makes it sort of feel like you should just chase it. Damn. Sucks. Anyways, Meta. Is there some sign of life for the Zuckerberg today? I'm not sold yet. I did buy Meta shares at 640, so I'm down on those right now. But it's a share purchase, and I'll maybe look to average into it as well. Meta will come back with the market. It always does. It's definitely weak right now, though. It's definitely an intense selling move. Will it come back? I think that's a no-brainer. When does it come back? That's not a no-brainer. That's the hard part. Shares make it able to, sit pretty on some dip buying. So I'm still interested in Meta, but right now, I think back over that 603 would be very interesting. If you guys remember, 603 was these weekly highs. These weekly highs right here was a 603 level. And you can see that after we broke below that, it's been tough to get back above. If we can break back over that 603 today, maybe it finds a little bit of life. So I'll be sort of just setting alert there at 603. What are some other names that I liked this morning? APP, let's go over that. Google, we went over. Let's go APP and APP Apple. Let's do those two. APP Apple and Datadog. Let's go those three right there. APP, definitely on the interest list for the dip buy. Definitely. All right. You can see APP has fallen from its highs quite a bit, from these highs to here, right around 30%. Back down into this daily high here, back into this gap fill area here, and you can see back into the daily 100 SMA. Now, the level we talked about yesterday was 545. Look what happened off 545 yesterday. Bam, smackdown. So that's nasty. So today, I'm just going to see if 545 can turn into some type of a new low. That'll be something I sort of monitor there. Datadog, we talked about the gap fill. The gap has been filled, my friends. Right? We talked about this date. This actually might be something you need to keep on your watch list, Datadog. Look at these highs right here. Also, there are these major highs here, gap to fill. We didn't fully, let me take that back. We did not fully fill the gap. The full gap fill would technically be back down to here at 155. That's technically your full gap fill. Now, there's definitely situations where you have a, gap, but then you have a major previous high that it, let's say it gaps up to here, and then it sort of comes back down to that major previous high and then continues. So it doesn't fill this part of the gap. It fills to that next key level. And that's sort of what Datadog is doing here. Major level here, gap fill would technically be down to here, but you pulled back to this high right here, which is possibly where it can start to push back higher. If we go to the hourly chart, we can see that right here at 170 and these major highs is maybe, just maybe, where Datadog can start to pull back higher. I'm going to be watching that 180 spot to see if it can get back above. Last one we're going to look at today is Apple. Apple absolutely is, building a nice consolidation above these previous highs at 265. There ain't nothing wrong with Apple here. It's just super slow. I think you got to get over 272. That's the key spot, 272. Okay, NASDAQ futures looking strong now. Yeah, nice comeback there. Nice NASDAQ futures. Okay, look at this ES. Hoo. Yeah, that's nice. Look at that daily 50 hold. Okay, that's good. SPY, okay, we're moving right into 673, 674. QQQ, right into the 613, 612. Today will absolutely instill FOMO. You can already see it. Today is absolutely going to be a FOMO-filled type of morning. We can see the absolutely beautiful curl that is happening off previous day highs right there. There's going to be some interest in sort of getting long bright and early. Let's see. Let's be a little bit careful. This 674, I would say, is your top watch of the day. I think if you can clear 674, you have a reason to ride the momentum right here. 674 SPY, that would be my spot. If you can get above that today, if you can break those 4-hour highs from back here and turn that into support, then maybe there's some reason to look for some momentum upside. If we reject that, I think this is your best pullback. So this is going to be a little bit tricky this morning. 674. Let's see. That's all we could say. Ripper on the ES, though, off that daily 50. Look at that hold. Ripper. Yeah, big ripper. Right over the 6750, 6756. That is right over these 4-hour highs, by the way. Right here. So we are holding perfectly now above that 4-hour high. And now I think you'd be targeting your 6790, 6812. All right. Let's see. Good luck out there. If you want to trade live with me, down in the description, you can check it out. If you want to keep coming to the live streams, make sure to press that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to put on the bell notification so you never miss a live stream. It looks like it's going to be an exciting day. Some dip buying yesterday for me. Looking good for now. I want to keep looking for dip buys. I'm going to try to do it slow and steady. So for me so far, put it up on the board, right? Make it be known. MP and Aklo. Those are my two most recent share purchases right here. 50 of both. 50, 50. I'd like to pop that up. For now, I just want 50. So, maybe, just around $7,000, $8,000 is what I invested yesterday into the market. Maybe I'll regret not doing more, but we shall see. All right, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Peace and love.